We interrupt this broadcast to bring you the latest news from the Siva Valley conflict. Here, in the 108th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 222. Colonials and wardens engage in a fierce fight for control of Longstone. In King's Cage, Valian forces are expelled from the region. Further east, legionary forces are marching north towards Osterwall, while Warden forces are pressured into the defense of a major logistics town in Weathered Expanse. This is a reminder that the PressCorps is focused on the Able Shard. Combined casualties have cleared 2.3 million after some 220 days of fighting, with the Civish Wardens and the Colonial Legion both passing the 1.1 million deads mark on either side. Deadlands has been the deadliest region this war, sitting at 346,000 total deaths since the start of the conflict. These numbers are provided to us by the good folks at foxholestat.com. Westgate is currently a stalemate, with colonial attempts to push into Longstone, despite getting very far, being repeatedly pushed back by Warden forces. It seems the Valiants are hell-bent on retaking the region, after Warden Blitz over the last weeks nearly brought the Western Front to collapse. As of today, day 222, the Warden's maximum advance stopped at a line between the salvage field and the shipyard west of Longstone. Colonial forces, meanwhile, have undertaken several counterattacks over the course of the last weeks, reaching as far as Lost Partition. These pushes, however, proved unsustainable and were beaten back by Warden forces. Colonial artillery has a strong presence in the region, with unabated fire raining down on Warden forces ever since they were almost expelled from the region. Prototype light tanks have been spotted on the colonial side. Longstone Tunnel is the scene of a fierce, never-ending battle. The building, under constant bombardment, was destroyed no less than 7 times over the constant back and forth in the region. The situation is too fluid to tell for certain who is really holding the tunnel. In King's Cage, threats of encirclement becomes reality for Valiant forces. For most of the 216, combats were bottled at the bridge south of the Manacle. Civic soldiers reported numerous sightings of prototype hatchet, along with extensive use of half-track mounted ISG. In the early hours of the same day, Gibbet's fields became cut off from Warden logistics. Forces there found themselves in a pocket, surrounded on 3 sides by enemy-held territories and by the river to the north. On day 218, Wardens managed to seize the Scarlet Hold relic base from the Colonials. This action puts the last base at Houseblade in a precarious situation. Around the same time, contact was re-established with Gibbet's field pocket, and now The forces there were used to do a pincer movement against South Blade. The Legion fought tooth and nails, making civic soldiers pay in blood for every meter. But once the Wardens were able to bring their full might to bear, they had no choice. They surrendered the relic on the 220. Warden forces then pressed on and crossed into neighboring Sableport. The following regiment was sighted having a noticeable presence in the region. See CAF, 11E, Goon, H-Ward, and HOC. In the line of mercy, the stalemate both sides were locked on into was broken by the Vallon region. The colonials managed to cross the bridge into Merciful Strait Crossroads, which they secured shortly after. After that, colonials' forces have swung north towards Outreach Ranch. Fighting is now currently taking place in the plains surrounding the town's southern outskirts. In the same vein, in Lockmore, the colonials found a way to cross the Mrs. Wish Bridge and established a strong presence on the other side. At the time of writing, the coastal city was at risk of getting encircled and cut off by large groups of legionary infantry. In Deadlands, the front lines see a grueling stalemate, with colonial forces holding down Bryan Glen and the Salt Farms. Warden artillery pounds the front line there, as Sivish forces attempt to break Valiant lines with shot and gas. Despite the mud and blood in the region, however, both sides maintain high morale, each certain that the front will be won with, quote, a one strong push, end quote. On that note, one of our reporters chatted with KRGG Neurocrash about the general state of the conflict. Here's what he had to say. It's 50-50. We, the Wardens, are making great headway in the west, but we're getting pushed back in the east. It's hard to say who's going to win at this stage of the war. In Marbanolo, a valiant thrust from the cluster forces to Warden even further back on the eastern front. A massive operation led by the Valiant coalition NEP has swiftly captured all bases to the west of the river, with Maiden's Vale falling on day 200 and Sanctum falling 3 days later. Shortly after our reporter arrived on this front, the Wardens began attempting to rebuild the Checkpoint Bridge. The Wardens' 27th Regiment Field Artillery succeeded in destroying the colonial base on the west bank of the river holding the colonial side of the bridge. The bridge was rebuilt by Wardens by 900 hours. Warden infantry then rushed to the other side, supported in their effort by a 30mm Scout tank and an APC. Once firmly on the west bank, they started pushing south towards Maiden's Vale. But at around the same time, southwest, colonials coming from the Clastra made easy headways towards Osterwald, supported by field artillery. This forced Warden Command to shift most of their efforts in this direction. At the time of writing, colonials were halted on the first plateau of the mountain on top of which Oster Falls sits. In Weathered Expanse, fierce fightings unfold on Foxcatcher's doorstep. This important logistic hub has been in Warden hands since the start of the conflict. While close to the front, the original front line was located in the Clastra to the south, so the town was somewhat protected. But now, after expelling Sivish forces and capturing Spirit Watch, MSA have set their eyes on the most beloved prize, Foxcatcher. The refinery the town holds represents maybe the most important asset of the region. Should the colonial capture the city and hold it long enough to rebuild the refinery, this could tip the balance in their favor and renew their momentum. There have been multiple suicide truck crashes from both sides to try and push the opponent back. Heavy colonial artillery is holding back any and all Warden armor inside the city. In the Clastra, the Warden got expelled from the regions after losing the vault, their last holding, on day 216. In Morgan's Crossing, colonial forces managed to gain a foothold in the regions before getting pushed back again. A colonial counterattack, supported by logistics coming from Port of Rhyme, achieved their goal of capturing the vital checkpoint of Callum's descent. According to Warden's European Navy sailors, they accomplished this by literally using human waves tactics. The bridge north of the relic constituted a natural choke point against which their advance was stemmed. Numerous gunboats were used on both sides to try and give their infantry an edge. After Wardens rebuilt the bridge, Valiant forces lost Callum's descent relic base on day 216. The following regiments were spotted with a notable presence in the area: KGG, MOA, Poilu, and the European Navy. In Slickal Shelf, around day 220, one CMD staged a counterattack utilizing multiple gunboats supported by a coordinated logistical supply line after heavy shelling from the Wardens in the area. Warden gunboats were reportedly sighted moments prior to the offensive that likely came from the Axehead. We also got wind from Colonial Command that the waters between Port of Rhymes and the Axehead had been deemed unsafe for colonial freighters. Colonials bolster coastal defenses with new bunkers north of Port of Rhyme. On the weather front, the following regions have been placed under thunderstorm watch by the PressCorps Storm Chaser Corps: Faranac Coast, Westgate, Kingston, Line of Mercy, Lochmore, Marbanolo, Earthland, and Viper Pit. Go to PressCorpsGaming.com/weather for the latest weather readings gathered by our volunteer Storm Chaser Corps and become a Storm Chaser yourself. Rocket level is currently at level 5, waiting, as we wait for any signs of rock pad buildup. I say again, there is no signs of rocket pads as of day 222. From the PressCorps, I'm Jean Baricave. Good day.
The PressCorps is an all-volunteer creative collective of reporters, broadcasters, artists, and more from the MMO video game Foxhole, developed by Siege Camp. Our mission is to engross our audience in and amplify the stories of this unique war ecosystem. The PressCorps was founded in 2018 by former Planetside 2 Radio Free Auraxis host, CaptainInArms. It is a separate community entity and is not officially representative of Siege Camp. For more information, visit our website at PressCorpsGaming.com. That's PressCorps Gaming.com.